If there was one thing the world was asking for, it was for one more podcast about CrossFit. Well, here we are anyways. This is the Silverback Media Podcast, where we share the stories of the everyday CrossFitter, so that more people are encouraged and empowered to try it themselves. Here's your host and everyday CrossFitter, Marco Mejia.
What is happening, Silverback Media crew? Back again with another interview. On the show this week, I have DJ Dykes. DJ is a member at CrossFit North Scottsdale. He is also getting ready to launch a youth football league, or youth flag football league, in Scottsdale called Scottsdale Friday Night Lights, which we get to talk about on the show this week. Along with that, we do go into DJ's background. He grew up playing football, played at a Division I level, which he'll talk about. And then he also talks about, and he's very open, and I appreciate DJ for sharing about this, his struggles with addiction, his recovery journey, his road to sobriety, which he still, fights that fight every day to this day, as he talks about. So again, very, very appreciative of DJ for sharing his perspective and his experience and his background. Then as we go through that, we talk about how DJ found CrossFit, how he first got into it, and how it's benefited him to this day. So if you want to get in touch with DJ, if you want more information about the Flag Football League that he is getting ready to launch, the first games are actually going to be played on September 19th. For more information on that, you can go to www.scottsdalefnl.com, or you can follow him on Instagram at scottsdalefnl for more information or to get signed up. And before we get to DJ, remember, do all the things for the robots: like, share, follow, subscribe. And now that's 13 down, 10,000 to go. And let's go talk to DJ. All right. DJ, what's happening, my man?
Hey, Marco, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you on. I've been looking forward to this one for a little while. So I know we got a lot of story here. And, obviously just we've been, we'll say, friends and competitors in the gym, we'll call it friendly competition.
I would have called it workout buddies, but sure, competitors is fine.
Workout buddies is a better way to put it. We're going to go with that. I'll edit that other part out. But no, this is gonna be great.
No, you're not allowed to edit anything out. Okay.
Oh no, yeah, no. I say edit. I think I made a joke about that one time. I'm like, yeah, I'll have my team edit it. I'm like, there's no team. It's me here. I'm not editing.
So good. Hey, Jamie, can you take that out?
For me a second, get that reference. Man, I wish I had a Jamie.
Yeah.
But it's me and my microphone and my laptop. So all right, so let's get into it. We got some story to cover here. I'm excited to hear your background, your story, and what led you to today. So let's roll it all the way back to the beginning, right? Tell me about a young DJ. What kind of activities were you getting into? Sports? Were you just running around the neighborhood causing trouble? I would put money on that, but sure. You tell me. What? Yeah.
Well, as much as I love talking about myself, we'll keep it brief so that we don't bore the audience with my childhood. I grew up in Southern Cal, just in the heart of Orange County, and just a super active kid, and probably not, probably relatable to a lot of kids' experiences. Tackle football from a really young age. Maybe I was the youngest of three. So my older brother played it. He also wrestled, so I got into wrestling. I wouldn't say I was born a tough kid, but I got used to physical contact, and I got used to physical competition through sports that require toughness, football and wrestling. I had a stint there, in those awkward 12 to 14-year-old days, especially for the boys, that I definitely took a step back as kids were maturing sooner than I was. And then in high school, I kind of caught up. I hit that growth spurt and kind of caught up and really took to football. And I moved to a prestigious public high school that excelled in football. And I moved there for the sport of football. Ended up getting, we were nationally ranked. And I think the recruiting process and the coaching I got there and the specialty, I played safety, and the specialty of the position got me a Division I scholarship. So I had choices between University of Idaho and San Jose State out of high school, which were both D1 at the time. And I chose Idaho just because I wanted to adventure and to try something new. And it was the biggest contrast I could think of to Southern Cal, and it was a Division I scholarship offer.
That was going to be my question, was how that changed when I guess lifestyle. I mean, you were younger at that point at that time, right? But going from Southern California to Idaho had to be a bit of a shock.
Culture shock, but it's like I mean, I was the type of person, and I think a lot of people are, that like adventure and are just looking for more and something different than like they grew up
Okay.
somewhere that, well, and I've talked to different people about this in different ways. But like some people just like crave like finding out what's out there, you know what I mean? And that
Mhm.
like adventure, and it just felt so adventurous for me. I don't know if I would have identified it like that at the time,
Yeah.
but I was
Do
like,
you
this is different.
do you find that you still look for that now?
I
I know we're getting very philosophical early on, but I'm
Oh,
like,
it's
hey, let's.
okay. Yeah. I mean, I at 26, I moved to upstate New York just in a relationship on a whim. And 5 years later, I moved to Boston with very few connections there for a job. And, 3 years ago, a job took me back out here to Arizona. And I'm very willing to follow opportunities,
Mhm.
whatever that might be in the form of, whether it's, typically things like employment and relationships are typically the two things in which opportunities come, at least in my experience. And I'm willing, like I believe that like kind of the universe or God or however you define that thing pulls you in places, and you have the opportunity to go make the best of things. And I love it. I love having to dive into places and figure out something new and learn new cultures and new styles.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been something I've really enjoyed. And that I think is kind of my first time with that.
Nice. Now, this might be kind of a chicken and egg question. Um, do you feel that do you feel like you always had that approach towards new things, or was that learned from somewhere? And I'm thinking about that, I don't know if like maybe being engaged in sports at a high level. I mean, obviously that kind of puts you in a position to try things and kind of be uncomfortable, find your ways to be uncomfortable. So do you found like maybe you found some of that in sports and then it showed up in other parts of your life where you followed that adventure? Or do you feel like that was just kind of always there and then you used that to your advantage in whatever it was that you got into?
Good question. Um, I would say it was always there and I used it.
Mhm. Nice.
Um, More so than like I learned it and then I followed it. I think for me it was intrinsic,
Mhm. Mhm.
and then it was, I think we all have different reasons for which we can be successful and different tools to use. And I think that's one of my tools is like my
Mhm.
adaptability, my ability to like go into new places and like, embrace that community rather than like going in and being like, these people are doing it wrong.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yep.
yeah, I think adaptability is a natural skill. And also, I mean, I would say the leadership and the coaching I've had through sports has
Mhm.
helped with that as well. I'm
Yeah.
kind of like thinking out loud as you ask me the question. I think it's a good question.
Yeah.
Um, a little bit nature, a little bit nurture. And
Mhm.
a lot of my nurture was competitive sports, you
Yeah.
know.
And I feel that. I mean, I grew up same way, right? Playing sports and ended up playing in college as well. And as
Yeah.
you're kind of talking through that, you know, I felt some of the same kinds of things in my background too, especially around different coaches, very different personalities from a coaching perspective, right? And each one, looking back on it, you can look at even some of the coaches that you probably look back on someone, you're like, man, that coach was rough. Like I definitely wouldn't coach that way, but that's a learned experience in a way that you can kind of adapt what you learned even from those kinds of experiences to what you're doing now,
Right.
which is still beneficial as you continue to find new adventures. Right, you can pull from those experiences you've had and the different personalities and types of leadership styles and coaching styles you've run into and see which one applies maybe better in a given situation that you're getting into.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And those coaches too, they challenge you, like
Oh
you're
yeah.
not supposed to like everyone. Not everyone's supposed to be like your favorite person, and you're supposed to learn how to deal with people that you're like, dude, this guy doesn't work for me, and like that's life. That's what life is
Yeah.
going to be like.
Yeah.
And to be able to learn at young ages, like, no, you're going to keep showing up to practice. You made a commitment, and you don't have to
Mhm.
like it.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I was,
You got to figure
yeah,
you got to figure out how to make it work within the situation, right? Because you want
100%.
this thing. You say you want this thing, right?
Yeah,
Being on this team, being a part of this group, whatever the case is. So,
right.
what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So
So, okay,
after,
so that gets you through high school, right? So now
through high
you
school
committed.
to Idaho, I mean, long story short, I became successful, kind of more successful than like I think people would have predicted at the Division 1 level. Playing football, immediate success as a true freshman. I didn't redshirt. Uh,
Nice.
Started every game that I was able to play at Idaho for 2 years. Transferred. Looking back, should I have transferred? Maybe not, but I did. I just was like, it was kind of the disease of more, which I can, like explain to you later. Like, oh, I could do bigger, I could do better.
Mhm.
Um, Went
It's
to
chasing the adventure too, so similar to what we were talking about before,
yeah,
right? Like if that adventure was there presenting itself, you're like,
right,
maybe I will take that shot. Yeah.
yeah. Like I couldn't have gone to Arizona State and Colorado out of high school, but at that point, those schools were more interested in me. And so
Yeah.
I recruited myself to other schools. This was I transferred before the whole transferring was so regular like it is now. This was 2006.
Okay. Okay.
And I had a couple schools, like I mentioned, Arizona State and Utah. Those schools offered me to come, and then Colorado said I could come, and I ended up choosing Boulder. I sat out 1 year for a red shirt, and then I played there in my junior and senior year, which was 2007 and 2008, and successful there. Started as a safety.
Nice.
A blast, super fun. Wouldn't take anything back. Had some incredible experiences there.
Yeah. And that's a little bit more closer to civilization in Boulder than it
Yeah,
is to Idaho. So I'm sure it's probably a little bit different college experience too, just like
yeah,
an off the field
yeah.
perspective.
Special place,
Yeah.
dude.
Oh yeah.
Special place. And anyone who listens who hasn't had the opportunity to go there and think about or thought about going there and hasn't, like it's worth it. It's a
Mhm.
it's a really cool it's a really cool experience that town is.
Yeah. I've been there once. So playing college baseball, I was a part of a summer league and I was playing the college I was playing for was in St. Louis, Missouri. One of our coaches on our team had a connection with a summer league team that was based in Wyoming.
Mhm.
So four of us got sent to Wyoming. One of the teams that was in the league, they in no, so there were two teams in Wyoming, two teams in Colorado, and one of the guys on our team happened to be from Boulder. So we had a long stretch of time off. So we are like, hey, let's go, spend a day in Boulder. Beautiful town.
Yeah,
And honestly, the most mind blowing piece. I mean, it was my first time like really being around mountains for a stretch of time too, which was just odd in itself. And now it's kind of serendipitous being in Arizona, seeing them every day.
yeah,
But seeing the football stadium that is, I mean, basically cut into a mountain, I was like, this is unbelievable. So I can't even imagine what it was like playing there,
yeah,
with a full stadium,
yeah.
right? Night game or something like that.
Sure. And it was all of that, and it felt like that at the time, and it felt like you were living a little bit of your dream. You're like,
Yeah.
there's nowhere, like if you would have told me as a 10-year-old that this is what you were gonna, as an 8-year-old, that this is what you were gonna do at this point in your life, I think I would have signed up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what
Yeah,
I
I
mean?
believe it.
I think I would, if what do you want to do when you're 21? I think this is what I said, what I said when I was 8. And I knew that at the time. I was like, this is cool.
Yeah. Yeah. You had that. That's kind of cool that you had that in the moment of like, this is what I was looking forward to.
Yeah.
So then you could really soak it up. All right.
Right.
Cool. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. So that gets you through college. So
Yeah,
now
almost through college. So at
almost
23,
through
my
college. Okay.
senior year, which I mean, it ties into this is when like addiction recovery, not recovery yet, but really starts to come in. From that my junior senior year in high school until this point, I was a regular. I mean, I regularly smoked weed at periods every day, most of the day. I partied, I would say, like a normal college student as far as drinking goes, but out often. And then I dabbled in like harder drugs, cocaine and oxys.
Wow.
And then as I got into my later years in Boulder, junior and senior year, I got heavy into Oxycontin.
Oh, really? Oh my God.
Yeah, so like Percocets and Oxycontin, and no injury, right? That's what I always get asked, like, "Oh, did you get hurt?" And start taking it, like it was nothing like that for me.
That was gonna be my next question. Yeah. So okay.
Yeah, it was nothing like that. I just, whatever I was trying to run from or escape or whatever was difficult about reality, when I got introduced to opiates,
Mm.
it was when it really clicked for me that that was the sensation and the feeling that I was seeking.
What if you had to describe it, what was that sensation?
Yeah, it was escape, like,
Mm.
and I would say it was escape from myself, and it was escape from the, like, what's crazy is I said, right, like 2 minutes ago, I said, as a little kid, if you would have asked me what I wanted to be doing, that was it. And yet I still participated in behaviors that cost me that experience, right? Because it was like 9, 10 weeks into my senior year, I got kicked off the team. I got my scholarship pulled, right? So a week before senior day in Boulder, we had a game against Iowa State, and I got brought into my coach's office on Monday, and some things had come to the surface about drug tests. It was like my third or fourth failed drug test with the team, and some things had come to the surface. And he said, "You can't play anymore. You're welcome to stay around the team and participate, but you can't do this anymore. And you can keep your scholarship if you show up to class and you do all the things." And I don't think I showed up to anything else ever again.
That was like I don't know how you want to describe. I mean, would you call it like a rock bottom moment? I don't know if that's
I wish
like
it was, man.
yeah.
I wish it was. I wish that was.
Yeah.
I wish I would have turned it around at 23. It took me 3 more years, and it got a lot worse.
Goodness.
It got a lot worse than you lost your ability to compete in football. It got, it would take a while to we could briefly go through details, but I lost any sense of self. I lost all my relationships. I lost a place to live. I lost any sort of, income and net worth. And then I lost any sense of self-worth and identity.
Oh my gosh.
So that's a progression. But when you look at that senior year, it's funny that I mentioned that about being a kid and then dreaming of that, because you'd think then your activities outside of that would all lead to you doing well in that. And also you would think, hey, you got a chance to play at the next level. Nothing is guaranteed for anyone, especially me. But you have a chance. And so you're going to do everything you can to live that dream, to put on an NFL jersey and to be able to do that. And not only was I not doing that, I was doing the things opposite to get me to where nobody would ever want me. And that just shows the power, kind of the mental twist that I was in and the desperation that I was in at the time.
Have you had a chance to, and I mean, have you, or well, I'm going to assume you've thought about it. So, but I guess I'll find the best way to ask this, right? Have you thought back on like what it was that you were trying to escape from? Because like you were saying, like we were just saying, right? Like you were kind of living out your dream in that moment, right?
Yeah.
Have you thought through what that might have been, like what it was, to any level of detail, or is it one of those where you were just kind of like, hey, once you were able to work through it, I don't want to say move past it because that doesn't feel like but once you're able to work through it and recover from it, you were just like, well, okay, in the past we're gonna leave that be. Like what
Sure.
what do you think that was?
Hey, quick interruption from me. I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. If you are, I have a favor to ask of you. The main way that this thing can continue to spread is through word of mouth. So if you're enjoying this episode, send it to someone or share it with someone that may benefit from it or enjoy it as well. Leave a comment, drop a 5-star review, follow the show, share about it on social media. That's the main way that we can help get this message out to others so we can continue to spread this, okay? I'd really appreciate it if you do that. And now let's get back to the show.
It definitely wasn't that. I've spent years going to 12-step meetings and doing the work necessary to develop like self-esteem, self-worth, develop a sense of identity, and also make right the wrongs I did to people along the way, which is a meaningful part of recovery. I don't believe that being like, okay, I'm done with that, I'm going to move on. I don't believe that that's a realistic option for people. I think you'll hear people talk about that, or you hear like a drug addict talk about drinking. To each their own. If people can do that and drink moderately, that's good for them. But for me, it took a lot of work in the rooms of in 12-step rooms and 12-step programs, and that's reflection. That's looking back, and that's understanding what addiction is. Right. It's that once I pick up a drink or a drug, I don't really have any control over putting it down, and then it's like a mental obsession that doesn't really happen, they say, in normal people, where like once I start thinking about getting high or drunk, like I can't really stop thinking about it and nothing's going to get in my way. There's no like human power, there's no influence that someone could give me that seemed more important than making sure I can get high. And then I think that that's rounded out by what they would call a spiritual hole, like a spiritual malady, I guess they would call it, where it's like there's this gap inside of me, this hole inside of me, and I didn't know what to call it or how to define it. I would say I was running from the things I didn't like about myself, and I was running from the discontent I felt about the world and the people around me, right? So like I think we all have this experience where like people are doing things wrong. They're not acting how I think they should act. Things aren't fitting how they're supposed to fit in the world, right? And we all kind of like could relate to that in some form throughout our day-to-day life. And for some reason, for me, everything was so out of place and I didn't like it so much that I had to escape those things, right? And like, I didn't like the way that I reacted to regular life. I didn't like how sensitive I was, how emotional things were, how much I cared about this girl that broke up with me, or the one that didn't want me, or the way my brother treated me, or any number of things. That's just, this experience, everyone could define these experiences different in this different ways. But my emotional reaction to all of these normal life things that we all experience was so uncomfortable that like when I found these drugs and alcohol that stopped making me feel so uncomfortable about the way that I reacted, like I couldn't stop doing it.
Latched onto it. Yeah. Because you're like finally something to, I don't know if this is the right term, but fill the void, right?
100%.
Or at least remove the discomfort that the void is leaving.
That like I just want to feel okay. I just want to feel like the people I see walking around in the grocery store looking normal, looking like they're just grabbing some groceries and going home to their kids, and that they look like everything's going to be okay. And I never felt like anything was going to be okay.
Oh goodness. Yeah.
Oh,
I can't even imagine that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think maybe people have that experience in different ways and don't turn to drugs and alcohol. And maybe, so I think that that's a relatable thing, and people might be like, well, but that'll go away. And why do you do it? And it's like, well, yeah, I don't know. I just know that once I found that thing that made the uncomfortable feelings go away, I wasn't able to stop or moderate it.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. Because then you're like, oh, this works, right? It's kind of, I don't want to say it's like anything else. That feels like it's devaluing it. But if you have a problem and then you find something that works, you're like, well, sweet, right? Like,
it is like a lot of
other I'm oversimplifying it.
No, it is. However, it's incredibly destructive and it will kill you.
Oh yeah.
That's the problem.
And it's super complicated to come out of, I'm sure, right? Like, and you can probably attest to it from years of work to make that happen. That'll like you said, right? That there's no finish line necessarily. It's like you got to kind of keep up with it and stay on top of it. So, man, well, thank you for sharing that. That's I'm I don't want to say hopeful is the wrong word. But if there's somebody out here, out there that's listening to this, they might be right smack in the middle of what you're talking about. So hopefully hearing you talk through it, and then the rest of your story, obviously, as we go through it, right, will help them see that like there's hope, there's light, right?
There is hope.
So yeah, yep. And it's a lot of work, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is, but it's available to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's cool about it. Like it doesn't discriminate on who it affects, and it doesn't discriminate on who can recover.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm not any better than the next person who, there might be someone in it. And I know when I was in it, I would look at people to where I'm at now and be like, oh man, like, how did he do it? And I'm just like, I wish that I could just they look like they're okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, there's no difference between me and that person. That what I did is completely available to them.
This is such a weird parallel, and I know we're going to get here, but man, there's so many parallels there to CrossFit, right? And from a health perspective, and the fact that CrossFit gyms everywhere, it's like the doors are open, If you want to make a change physically, health wise, doors are open. We're here for you. We want you to come in. We're here to help you. We can't force you, but it's available and it's there if you're willing to do it. So again, I don't want to devalue the recovery process, but as you're talking through it, I'm like, man, if it sounds so, similar just from the availability.
But like in additional ways, like, and you're going to show up and it's going to be uncomfortable. And then you're going to be like, I don't know anyone here. And people seem to be enjoying it. And I'm not. And this is hard and uncomfortable. And I want to leave. But if you keep showing up every day for a long period of time, eventually it's going to get easier. You're going to feel better about yourself. And you're going to meet other people in there and develop a community. And in all those ways, it's similar.
Oh my goodness. Wow. I'd never kind of quite thought through that. Goodness gracious. There are so many.
It takes work. You have to move through discomfort. But if in either one of these situations, if you show up to the same place on a regular basis, consistently, and work hard when you're there and focus on it and be open-minded to the opportunities that can occur, you're gonna get results.
Yep. It's going to take, it'll happen faster for some people and slower for other people. But if you stay in it and keep showing up, it'll work.
But and again, through that process, you'll learn that how it's happening for other people, it just isn't any of your concern.
Oh man, that's a great way to put it. Right. It's like your progress is your progress.
Like, and I know we're not too CrossFit yet, but it's funny because I would even at times, not right now, but at times in the past, have criticized the competition side of CrossFit, the sugar wads, as being like a little unhealthy for me and the people in it. And that made me think of that when we said, well, why am I comparing myself to others? But the reality is, like, deep down, I'm happy I showed up and competed. On the surface, I want to beat Marco. But deep down, I'm really glad that I have Marco to compete against and that we both showed up and gave it our all and pushed each other a little bit. And less important is who won that day.
Exactly. 100%. Right. It's like there'll be some friendly trash talk, but that's so far behind the ability and the availability to show up at the same place. And for both of us to, set up next to each other. We get to talk and chat the whole time, right? Yep. Not the whole time. When coach is talking, we're listening, right? For any coaches out, so much. But yeah, we get we get to develop this. We get to develop a friendship, and we get to it's kind of like, in my mind, it's like an equivalent of breaking bread together, except it's like we're loading weights on a barbell, right? And
CrossFit is the new grabbing coffee, getting food. Even it could be a date.
Oh, there you go.
Ashley and I went out one night, and she said she went to a HIIT class she used to in Long Beach, and I said, what are you doing tomorrow morning? Let's go to the class. And she was all hungover, and I obviously wasn't, and she showed up, and I think it was the second time we hung out. We went to a HIIT class.
Oh, nice. There you go.
And it's just like, I'm not saying like, oh, we're the fittest. I'm not. This isn't about that. It's about, dude, this is like a normal thing that people do as a date.
Yeah.
It's a social event.
I'm gonna make a T-shirt out of that or something. We're gonna figure out some way
to. Yeah. We gotta limit the words, but there's something in there.
Yeah. There's okay. All right. Let's go back. I have one more question about the recovery.
You can. Sure.
Piece. I'm sure that's going to get us closer to you finding CrossFit as well. What was the moment that you realized, okay, I need to take steps and go, get into the 12 steps. Like, I don't know if you want to call it your rock bottom, but the moment or your thought process around like, all right, I got to do something about this problem has, consumed me to the point where I need to make a change.
Yeah.
What was that? What was that like?
I don't know how encouraging my story will be, but it's just the reality of this experience. And I think not just for me, but for others. You will hear some people talk about a moment for them that changed. I thought that I had moments in the next couple years. I ended up going to like Salvation Army. They have an adult rehab, a 6-month work therapy program. I don't know if people know that, but they have like an inpatient 6-month work therapy program where you like process their donations at their factories, and they offer drug and alcohol abuse counseling, and they bring in AA meetings. And that was probably a year and a half to 2 years after football. And I thought that like I was ready. I thought that I was ready. I had some pretty bad experiences in there. And I was like jumping around. My mom kicked me out of her house. I had lost, I was taking things from people pretty regularly, pretty destructive. And I thought that was it. And I left that place, and it didn't take me long, and man, I was off and running again. And that was upsetting. That was deflating, like in the sense that you're like, I really wanted to change, and thought I was doing the things to do it differently, and I'm right back where I was, and probably worse. And what I'll say is, the best way I can explain it is I gave up. There was not a moment. There wasn't a like, hey, help me get into this rehab and I'll change.
Yeah.
There wasn't like I wish there was. I was in a detox, and I was taking money from people in the detox, and I was hopping the fence, and I was coming back in that detox. It felt like it was all over, but not in the way that it was going to change for positive. Not in the way that it was going to, that I was going to make it out. It just felt like I can't keep living like this.
Yeah.
But you don't think that you can get better, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So the gave up was more of like, would you say it was like giving up the thought that like you could figure it out yourself, or giving up the thought that like,
100%, 100% part of it. But also there's something in you that's defeated, where you're like, whether someone helps me or whether someone puts me out of my misery, like, just please, just
something's got somebody help, somebody do something, somebody help.
I just don't want to go on like this, right?
Yeah.
And surrendering, man, is a really powerful thing. And the problem with it is it's a really dark place. But it's a beginning. And when you surrender, and when you're like, I'm not in control, I can't really do this thing alone. I need massive help from other people, probably from a power greater than myself. And eventually I'm going to have to do some work on myself. It's a dark place. Like, it's not a sexy solution. Like, it wasn't, I didn't get a job in software sales and start doing a podcast and get this cool apartment. And I didn't meet some chick and get to drive a 4Runner. Like, I wish those things would have got me better, but it was 12 steps. It was surrendering to a higher power, and it was not drinking and using drugs anymore. And dude, that doesn't feel very cool.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
It feels like you lost. But like most things in life, when it feels like you lost, like, like our thinking, like my thinking, had proven to not get me very far.
Yeah. So you're like, okay, I got to try something different, because what I've tried clearly hasn't worked. And that was the moment of you realizing that, and essentially being like, all right, time for something. And then, that's surrendering. And I'm imagining this, right? So you tell me, but it feels like, you've had, I don't know if control is the right way to put it. But you're giving up control, and you're like, okay, I know that how I've been thinking has not worked, but I don't know what the next step looks like, or what the next chapter looks like. Is that where you say like that kind of fear comes in, or that scary part of it? Because you're like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I know I need to do something new, but I don't know what that is, or even how to get there. And now you're just kind of like in this in between.
So much fear. So it's funny, in AA, there's a part in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't know if you're familiar. But they have a big book that outlines the program. It's written in the 30s. It's unchanged. and it says we call this the jumping off point, where a life with and a life without alcohol both seemed impossible. And it's what you just explained, this fear that like, well, what's my life going to be like there's these stupid analogies that people make, like, well, what about, am I going to drink champagne at my wedding? And it's this crazy irrational thought of like, but what are these events going to look like? Now, not to even mention that like nobody had dated me for years, like I couldn't, like, but you're worried about these stupid things. So, right. So this fear of what that's going to be like, while also being like, but I can't go on the other way. And so that was where I defined the put me out of my misery. And that's what you just explained, right? In a way that has been in a way that alcoholics and addicts talk about, that a lot of people can relate to. And it's, again, it's that really dark place that like, I don't have, neither one of these roads seem great. And the road of continuing on how you are has to feel worse than like this fear of like, I'm going to try something different that I don't really want to try.
Because I'm sure whether consciously or not, you're probably looking at wherever the road of the current thought processes would lead you. And you're like, I know that's probably not going to land me where I want to be. Right. Even if you could define where you wanted to be, right? Like that's a whole separate conversation. But you're probably looking at that thinking like this thought process or this line of thinking and what it's leading me to from an action perspective is not going to get it. I can probably see where that ends.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
No.
Like so much so to the point that you're like, okay, now it's time. I will take unknown.
Yeah.
Over that.
Yeah.
That's man, that's a crazy place to be.
Interesting, isn't it?
Oh goodness.
It gives you some perspective on like the people that are out there. And it's like, why is that guy just like here every day on the corner begging for change? And it's like, why doesn't he, do this or do that? And it's like, dude, he's in a dark place.
Yeah.
And people get sick over time, like sicker and sicker.
I'm sure the longer I don't know, this is an assumption, but I'm sure the longer you stay in it, the harder it is to end up making that. I don't know. Maybe that's just me assuming.
100%. Yeah. It's scary for me today to think about, a drink or a drug and being like, dude, that'd be so hard to get back in there.
Yeah.
Like, would I make it back?
Man.
I don't know.
Yeah. And to your point, that's a thought right there that is going to be with you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to just set that down one day.
No.
Sorry to chuckle at that, but you don't get to set that down one day. Be like, I'm done thinking like that, right? Like it's like, no, yeah. Man.
Yeah.
Man. Wow. Okay, not to take a total left turn.
Sure.
But this part of the story, the recovery component, right? It's a good, it's from what you said, the kind of initial drug use was like late high school, kind of takes you to a few years after college, right? Exactly. So it's a good stretch of time there.
Yeah.
At any point in this stretch, had you heard of CrossFit? Had it come into your purview at all? Or was it
Yeah, the tail end, I was like 26. I used to sell shoes in Orange County. We sold nanos.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, the CrossFit rep, this is probably 2010 to 2012, and the CrossFit rep would come in and, some super fit chick. And I was like, well, I want to work out with her, but I'm not doing those stupid CrossFit workouts. So yeah, it was, I had heard of it at the tail end there, like 2012 when CrossFit was just getting going, right?
Yeah.
And then, so I got sober 2012. I was 26. Then I played a lot of flag football. And my back hurt a lot.
Was that just, do you think that was just like a accumulation of hits and injuries from playing tackle for so long?
I think it was also just from like really heavy, not great form lifting through college.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
I remember a time specifically having like over 450 on a bar on my back and just losing it to like my back just like crumbling me and being like, that was, I remember it almost doesn't feel real, but I remember it. And it's like, dude, if I did that today, I might take a year off.
But for that one, you're like, hey, we got practice in a couple hours. Go ahead, pad up. Let's go.
So yeah, I used to throw my back out a lot playing flag football through my late 20s, and then I got with a trainer, and he got me back into Olympic lifting.
Okay.
It was just a normal gym, and we used to like throw the like standard box gym plates around. It was hilarious, but he really helped me a lot and helped my back a lot and gave me a lot of exercises. So I wasn't doing any CrossFit, but I was really grateful that I got back into Olympic lifting.
Yeah.
Before I got back into CrossFit, and I kind of developed a good strength base.
Yeah.
And then I was dating a girl in Canada. She was in Quebec City. I was in Boston.
Okay.
And she was a CrossFitter. And I was like, this is kind of cool. And she took me to a CrossFit comp that I participated in. And I didn't know much about it. And
so you weren't doing CrossFit at the time?
That's right.
Oh, wow. And
but I was
okay. You're like, yeah, sure, I'm fit. I can figure it out.
I'm an athlete, you know? And long story short, things didn't work out with the girl. I got into kind of a bad headspace. I think COVID was going on 2020. And I was like, I was in Boston, and I was like, I had been introduced and done some CrossFit classes, and I liked them. And I knew I didn't know how to do any of the CrossFit stuff. And I showed up to CrossFit Southie in South Boston. And I started showing up a lot. And that was 2020, so 5 years ago.
Yeah, that was 2020, but your first kind of introduction to it was back in, I mean, you were selling the shoes
2012.
in like 2012?
Yeah, I had heard about it. Yeah.
So over that 8-year stretch, I mean, I'm sure, you were aware of it at that point. Had you seen anything like about the games? Had you seen, or was it just like, oh, CrossFit rep in selling Nando's, she looks fit, and then it was just kind of out of your mind space from there?
I had heard about it. I was a hater.
You were. What about it where'd that come from for you?
Have you ever seen Eastbound and Down, Kenny Powers?
Great show. I've only seen the first season, but I feel like that's enough.
Yeah. I play real sports. I don't want to be the best at exercise.
It's one of the best quotes of any show of all time.
It really is.
When I heard that, I'm like, that is perfect. That is
in fairness, he was talking about a triathlon, but I think it applies. And I felt similar. Like, well, I did up downs my whole life. They're called burpees in CrossFit. In football, they're called up downs. I did them my whole life, and I did not. Even in CrossFit, I went through a period of time where I was like, I'm not doing burpees anymore. These used to be my punishment, and it's not fun.
Yep.
So I didn't want to, I wanted to work out because I felt good. Look, it's the same reasons I do CrossFit. I wanted to work out because I felt good. I just wanted to work out normal. I was from a football mindset, like lift heavy, like we do field work and we're athletes and we go on the field and we run gassers, which is all, I know this all carries over and we could say it does, but like, this was just my mindset of like, I don't want to compete. The gym is to help me compete as an athlete.
Oh, yeah. You didn't think about the gym itself as from a competitive. Okay. So then as you started showing up to CrossFit Southie, where did that change for you then? Because obviously now you've been in it for 5+ years, right? So where did that change for you? What was there a moment, or was it just like showing up over time and you're like, oh, wait a second, this isn't exactly what I thought it was before?
Yeah, great question. I think when I did one of the first competitions, like I wanted to win. I wanted to. And I remember, this is going to sound silly to people, but they had us do like ring muscle ups and I could get up on the ring. They probably looked terrible, but I could get up over the ring and do some ring muscle ups. But I was like, it was kind of fun. And I wanted to be able to do, I couldn't do all 10. And I was like, I want to be able to do that. And so it became these things to work towards that felt athletic.
Yeah.
It became like, I couldn't do muscle ups, bar muscle ups when I got here. I couldn't do handstand walks. I couldn't do all sorts of these things, right? Like any of these gymnastics, I'm 6'2". I'm not naturally doing those things. And we would do them in class and I'd be like, oh, like I can't do that. And I started working towards being able to do those things.
Yeah. That makes sense.
It made me feel athletic again. I I think it was just the mindset. It wasn't like a real thing that it wasn't athletic to do CrossFit. But when I would like crush a workout, like I felt strong and good about myself and athletic, and that competition box was checked for me.
That makes sense. Yeah, probably gave you some of that itch that you were probably looking for,
100%.
or maybe not looking for, but that you had, through
I
your
think
playing
it's a
days.
box that is important for me to check in life.
Yeah. Yep.
Am I,
Yeah,
am I competing athletically with other guys?
yeah. Well, and it's competing with others, but it's also competing with yourself, like you said, of like, hey, there's these ring muscle up things. I can do them, but I can't do them well, or I can't do a bunch of them. So now you've got this, internal competition with yourself too, of like, oh, 6 months ago, I could do one or two really ugly ones. Now, 6 months later, I've practiced, I've put in work. Now I can do, I don't know, 5 or whatever the number was, right? But you've got competition with the others in the gym, but you've also got the competition with yourself that's feeding on itself. And you know that each day you go put in you go get a workout in, you come, like you said, you come out feeling good about yourself. You're like, all right, I put in some good work. Like, let me go, let's carry that momentum into the next one.
100%.
Yeah.
And it's like, you really got to show up to CrossFit. You kind of got to be ready to go.
Yeah.
Like you can't, those things are going to hit you in the mouth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it earns people's respect in that way.
I would say so. And because it's like and we're kind of talking about it a little bit before, right? It's like if you're ready to walk through the doors, like what you're getting into, it's going to be uncomfortable. And yes, there's options for scaling. And yeah, so like if you're picturing ring muscle ups, I can't do this. It's like, cool, show up anyways, because there's a very challenging option that'll get you the same feel of the workout that it's going to meet you where you're at. But like you said, it's like if you got someone that's coming into a CrossFit gym on a regular basis, you kind of get a sense of that person's made up of something, that they're willing to keep showing up and doing this uncomfortable thing and pushing themselves, right? Outcome aside, but like the input of walking in the door and showing up for class, that shows a lot about people, I think.
I agree.
It's not everything, but it gives you a sense.
I agree. I'm always really impressed. Like, it's hard. There's hard days in there. And I'm always like, dude, there's like 20 people around me, and there's 6 other times of classes today. And I'm like, and all of these people are just like, yeah, I'm going to come do this today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, it's inspirational.
Yeah. It's so cool. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's everyday people, right?
Yeah.
You, me, it's moms, dads, grandparents, brothers, sisters, employees of something, business owner, right? All walks of life. We're all showing up together, and we're all going to do the same thing. I call it like a great equalizer. And it's like, yeah, everybody's got their own things. Everybody's coming from different backgrounds, but we're all here now, and we're all in class together, and we're all going to throw down in whatever way that looks like for us. And then we're all going to, fist bump at the end and clean up our stuff and say, that was awesome. I'll see you again tomorrow.
That's right.
It's one of the, I don't know, I like to think it's one of the few places that still has that kind of vibe to it.
Kind of camaraderie.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, okay, back. Ooh, that was another little side quest. So you got into so it was like 2020. You started going more consistently.
Yeah.
You got in almost directly into the competitive side of things, which is interesting. I feel like that's because you started in that pretty much right away.
It was like a team comp up in Canada. It was fine. It was like a Christmas comp. But anyways, that was kind of my first like real. I wasn't like at a gym going to CrossFit regularly.
Yeah. Okay. And then you start going to Southie. You start going there more regularly.
I start going there all the time.
Yeah. Tying that back in with like the recovery aspect, where do you feel like that benefited you in your recovery at that point in time, right? Because it's obviously 8 years from getting sober.
Mm-hmm.
You find CrossFit. Was there a tie-in there? Was there something that you felt like, oh, this is helping me in some way, shape, or form?
For sure. I mean, I think a sense of community, right? So also I'm moving, like I'm in a different city, right? In 2019, I moved from New York to Boston. And you only know who you work with some people, whether you become friends with them or not. I'm lucky I have like recovery and meet some people there, but like I started to participate in CrossFit there, and there's some people there 5 years later, I don't live there anymore, that are still some of my closest friends. So community was important. I'm probably an extrovert in that, like, I get a lot of energy from others, and CrossFit and the community it offers, more so than your mountainside or your 24-hour fitnesses. It's a lot more comfortable to make friends at a CrossFit gym than it is at those regular box gyms. And I think I benefited a lot from that. And then I just think, like I kind of mentioned, I think it was like off topic, but like I think a competition box for me, like in a healthy way, like, dude, I'm not mad at somebody for beating me. I'm impressed. But I tried and they pushed me a little bit more. And I just think it's an important thing for me. Like, I think like this is kind of silly, but like, I think like our animalistic being, like, especially as males, like, we used to be outdoors hunting and exploring, and we're not anymore. But I think this gives us a little bit of that checkbox, like our animalistic, like we're just going to come get someone, and we're doing it in a modernly appropriate way, that also like gets a little bit of those fires going for us, and that feels good for me.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And then I think just like the variety of movements and the number of things I couldn't do. Like, dude, I worked hard on getting to be able to do those things, and it gave me something different to focus on. And these are all, dude, all of those things for me, like working towards those things, and then getting the bar muscle ups and I was proud. I was like, dude, this is cool. These aren't things I ever were able to do before in my life. I don't have the build for it and stuff. I wasn't a natural pull up and muscle up guy, rope climb and handstands, and I was proud. And I think those are all healthy things that just give you a sense of belonging. You know what I mean? They give you a sense of belonging, and they make you feel like you're a part of something. And those are meaningful things for me. Like, and it's not, people might think like, oh, you were 8 years, you were fine. I don't really think you're ever fine. Like you're never good. Like there's no finish line. Like you got to keep finding things, man, that make you feel alive.
And when you find them, I'm sure you're like, all right, how can I keep this up or keep doing this and keeping this in my life as often as I reasonably can.
For sure.
Yeah.
So that gym helped me get my L1, which was cool.
Nice.
So they used to do L1 classes, and I coached there, and you feel like you're a part of the community.
Yeah. How was that shift from, well, I mean, not that you stopped being like an athlete or a member, right? But when you got into coaching, how did that shift for you? What was probably the biggest takeaway or thing that you appreciated most from coaching versus, just being in class as a member?
I think people really appreciate the support and the help. And they're like, you start to get to know everyone a lot more. And you're like, man, I'm really like, oh, Coach DJ, like they really like, people really respect it. And it's really kind, like the coachability of people. And you're like, this is a good little gig.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like a meaningful thing for me in my life that it feels appreciated by people.
100%. Yeah.
And in a way, in a way it's like humbling.
Oh, agreed. Right. Somebody's coming in, they throw down, they listen, they're asking for help, right? You give them a couple cues, something moves better. You're like, sweet, that's awesome, right? Now all of a sudden they're appreciative. Like, what more can you ask for, right? And there's a lot more that goes into it, but like at its base level, it's like I like to think that people that get into coaching, it's because you kind of have that genuine want to help people.
Yeah.
And man, it shows just even those quick moments when you're in a class and you're like, hey, do this thing different with whatever movement. They do it and it works. And you're like, yes, okay. Like that helped. It's a great feeling.
100%.
So now thinking, kind of thinking forward a little bit, right? And this is a conversation you and I have had separately. I know your approach to training now is a little bit different than when you first started, where you were more, pushing. I don't want to say pushing the competitive side, but for lack of a better phrase, I'll leave it there. Where now it's less of that. I mean, obviously you're still going in, you're going to work hard, like we were talking about. We've got that subtle competition with each other when we're in the gym, but your approach towards it, your mindset towards training is a little bit different, right? Is that a fair? Yeah. So what would you say? What would you say your approach or your motivation to continue coming back to the gym looks like now?
Well, I want to be, I think it's really good for me to do these things. I think it's really good for me to get uncomfortable purposely. I think it's really good for like my health and my mental health, right? Like push yourself to something that you didn't want to do today, or halfway through, you don't want to do it anymore and you do it anyways. I like that I'm decent at it. I like
That
to
helps. Yeah.
I like to do something I'm good at. I golf a lot, and I got into golf like 3 years ago, and golfing is really hard and really humbling. And I golf it with a bunch of people who are good. And so I always say, like, at least I got CrossFit, because all of those friends can come to the gym with me, and at least I would beat them at that. So I would like to keep that up. And I do have friends in different areas who like are very competitive against me, who I like got into CrossFit, and like, oh, I'd be lying if I didn't say there was a lot of pride in the fact of like when they come into town that like, I stay doing what I'm doing. I respect, like, dude, you see David Goggins just did a 200-mile run, and
Saw that.
you see these guys doing stuff, and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to do that, but I want to be respected. I want to be respected as somebody who can get after it. Like, I want to be respected as someone who takes care of myself, who is like, hey man, that guy like works hard and he gets results out of it. And I want that, like, I'm turning 40 in a month. And
really,
I want that when I'm 45. I want that when I'm 50. I don't want to be the like, wait till you get old. I want to be like, I feel great.
that makes sense.
You know what I mean? Like, I hear people all the time, it's like, well, you're going to get this age. And I'm like, how long can I delay that?
Yeah.
And that's a little bit of it. That's a little bit of it for me.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know you were turning 40. I didn't have you a day past 39.
Don't tell anyone.
Yeah, don't worry. Nobody's gonna listen to this. How would you? I mean, I'm sure there's a tie-in here. How does that tie in with having a family, right? You've got Ashley, who you mentioned. You have your daughter. Does how does that factor into those pieces you were just talking about? Obviously, I'm assuming they do, but just to kind of hear your from your perspective.
Sure, same thing. Community, it would be number one, right? Like the amount of people that we've met and that we're like genuine friends with. Same thing for Ashley. We can bring our kids. You can bring yours. We can bring our daughter, and it's like very welcoming to that, right? So Ashley hasn't worked much since Stevie was born, 1.5 years, and like we don't have to get daycare for the gym, and so that's been really nice. And then they like really welcome and help if Stevie's not doing well. So the community and just like meeting people and getting along with people has been number one for Ashley. This is the first time she's lived away from Southern California. So
okay.
Yeah. So like as a family, it's been great to get to know that. And I just don't think, I know you wouldn't get that at a regular gym.
Yep.
Even like the HIIT classes, not as much. Which, like, I don't know that you want to do those anyways, but each their own. And I think just the same thing for her, like, not really knowing where to go or what to do and needing classes and support. Man, I just think it's been great for her. I mean, she could speak on that herself. I love it. I love that Stevie's around it, that my daughter is around like what seems like a healthy, really cool environment, and growing up in that. I grew up with sports and activities, and you have ideals for your kids, and you hope something similar because of your experience was cool. To start her like that has been great.
Yeah, I believe it. And I'll just put it out there, but Stevie's a great assistant coach too. If
That's
any
right.
of us are coaching class, she will call out no reps. You may not be able to understand it yet, but that's
Yeah.
what she's saying if you're
Well, she's
listening.
saying it. She's saying it
um,
to me.
she's like, Dad, you got to squat lower, right? So that kind of, I think it brings us up to closer to current, but now you've got a new adventure, a new thing that you're launching and that you're getting into. So I wanted to kind of ask you about that a little bit too with the Friday Night Lights League
Yeah.
that you're getting ready to launch. Right, first season in Scottsdale is getting ready to start here. What's the date for the first games go, or the first
Opening
practices go?
night is September 19th.
September 19th. Okay, September 19th. So obviously you're starting that up. So how did that opportunity come about?
Great question. So it's Friday Night Lights is a brand. It's a youth flag football league that's run all over Southern California and Oklahoma. It's a really successful, really huge youth flag football league, and I have friends that run cities in those areas. And so I caddy at a golf course. I've been caddying for 3 years. I had a career kind of before that. It's a great job. I really like it. But I just was, I don't know how much like challenged I am at work and how much growth there is for me in the profession. It's great. And I love doing it right now. And I'm not going to do it. Like, I'm not going to stop doing it. And it's a great living for my family and I, but I wanted a little more challenge. I wanted something that felt like I was building towards something. And I wasn't really, you think about like, I want to start a business and what do I do? And I could do this and I could do this. You could spend your whole life thinking like, I really could have. And I'm like, well, let's just do something. And that felt like something that I would love. It felt like something where I could have a meaningful contribution to kids and their passions, their growth, and their love for the game of football. And it felt like I have experience with that. And if I pass along my knowledge in a meaningful way, it's going to like grow the game and grow their love for football and give them good experiences with youth sports, which were so important. I mean, we started this conversation with our youth sports experience and like how it shaped us.
Yeah,
I think that's
100%.
important. It also like I just did some background research on businesses in Scottsdale and what was going on. And I just felt like, hey man, like I think like anything, it's going to be hard to get started. I don't know how to do it. There's a lot
Yeah.
of moving pieces, but I was like, let's try it. And what's the worst that can happen? You're gonna spend a little bit of money and you're gonna learn a bunch of lessons. Is the worst thing. If you dive in, that's the worst thing that's gonna happen.
It's like you'll have a good story. You'll for sure have a story at the end of it, one way or another, right? You're
Yep,
gonna have a story, you're gonna have lessons, you'll have experience. That's for
that's
sure.
right. And so I just took a shot on it and I was able to get some fields. And I've been doing a ton of marketing.
Mhm.
So I've been doing a ton of marketing just around Scottsdale and especially the school districts. And I've just been trying to communicate people just like I do to you. Like, man, we love football. And if
Yeah.
you want to learn about football or you already love football, like this is a good spot for you.
Yeah.
And fortunately the community has embraced it enough to have a season here. It's not easy, right? There's some good flag football leagues in the area.
Okay.
And I'm sure they're well run. I don't know much about them, but and they're established. And for some of the teams to be like, "Hey, DJ, we're going to take a chance on your league and have some faith in you. You sound great." I'm so grateful for them and for giving us an opportunity to have a season and to get it started. And we'll see what happens from there. You hope that it grows.
And admittedly, obviously, I don't know much about the flag football leagues either, right? You're probably closer to that than I am, even though you said don't know as much. If you had, if somebody's listening and maybe they've heard of some of those other flag football leagues and they're thinking like, well, what is DJ's league gonna bring that's different, right? Or that sets you apart? What would you say to that? Maybe a parent listening that's thinking about it for their kid.
Yeah, that's a good question. First of all, we're on Friday nights, so we're under the lights. I don't know. You only know what you know, and you research what you research. I don't know that there's another league on Friday nights in the area. regardless, even if there was, I'll tell you, we're going to be fair. There's no favoritism towards coaches or to players. Our focus is on fun and youth development. Like, we want kids who are having fun and enjoying football. We want kids who are learning and growing. We can go to tournaments and have competitive teams if that's what kids want to do. And I support like their growth to like really like competing in the sport. But like, our priority is going to be like, it's going to be a good time. There's going to be moms and parents dressing up. We're going to have like a ice truck, a food truck. It's going to be Friday night under the lights, just like football, how it should be. And we love football, man. Like, and as will always be, like, it'll always be in all of our decisions made. Like, we love youth sports. We love kids getting outdoors. And if you want to learn about the game of football and learn to love it like we do, like, it's going to be a good spot for you.
Awesome. How can people find out more, get in touch with you, find out more information? What's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, we're on Instagram at Scottsdale FNL like Friday Night Lights. And then you can visit our website at scottsdalefnl.com.
Beautiful. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. All right. I got one more question for you. I like to, we'll kind of tie back. So I like to call this the time machine question. Maybe I'll come up with a different name for it. Right. But if I, put you in a time machine and I'm going to take you back to, 2012, right? So you're selling shoes. You have this CrossFit shoe rep that you're like, it's fit, but some weird stuff going on over there in the CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
But it's also good, hey, your words, not mine.
Yeah.
So 2012, but you're also in the, I don't, that's right around the time of the starting the recovery process, come into sobriety, and you get a chance to go back to that version of you. And, he's like, hey, he asked you like, hey, this CrossFit thing, like, it seems weird. It seems strange, but it also seems kind of interesting. I don't know. Should I do it? Right. Now with the experience that you've had, everything that we've talked about, obviously the 8 years since then, before you stepped into a CrossFit gym, and then the 5 years of actually doing it, what piece of advice would you give to that version of yourself in 2012 at that point in your life that would have, we'll say, given him a vote of confidence or a reason to maybe go try CrossFit?
That's really interesting. Like, my gut reaction is like, dude, I don't want to change the trajectory of my life. It's been great, but I'm like, that's
no butterfly effect kind of thing.
Yeah, that's not the question.
Hey, answer it however, in whichever way you feel, right?
Yeah. That's a good question. I probably would have said, like, just show up. Like, just give it a shot. And if you show up open-minded, you might be surprised. And I don't really have anything else. Like, I don't want to sit here and talk about the details of like what it's going to be for you. And maybe you wouldn't like it, but like, I would say, like, yeah, give it a chance. If you gave it a chance and been open-minded, like when I eventually had the reasons to give it a chance and be open-minded, I realized, like, dude, when I travel, like, I go to different CrossFit gyms, there's like places to work out. It's like this whole experience in itself of like I said, whether I live in the city and the community I built, or whether I've like I can't tell you the amount of places I've traveled to and gone to CrossFit gyms. And I'm like, it kind of gives back a lot more than you give it.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
And I'm like, and I probably would have said like I know that you don't want to be the best at exercise, and you don't have to be. But I think if you showed up, and I think if you showed up with an open mind, I think you'd be surprised of your experience.
Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful. That's awesome. DJ, I appreciate it. I appreciate the openness, the willingness to share. I think, like we're kind of talking about, earlier on in here, right? Somebody maybe hearing your story and maybe smack in the middle of where you were in the midst of your recovery journey, and hopefully hearing how where you are now. Like we said, gives someone some hope, and hopefully this gives them some ideas of things they can do, or if nothing else, validation of like, hey, what you're going through is, I want to say normal isn't the right way to put it, but it's like you're not alone.
Yeah, you're not alone.
Yeah.
And the solution is available for you. You know?
Awesome, man.
Well, I appreciate you inviting me. And this is great. Like, this is a real smooth, comfortable conversation. And dude, just thanks for letting me like talk about it and talk about me for a couple of minutes. It's a little uncomfortable, but it's great. I really enjoyed it.
Beautiful. Awesome, man. All right, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. DJ, appreciate you, man.
Thanks, Marco.
If you enjoyed this episode, please consider sharing with a friend. To get notified of future episodes, please follow the show on your favorite podcast app so you can continue to hear these stories. For more behind-the-scenes content of everyday CrossFitters, follow on YouTube and Instagram at Silverback Media. Until next time, this has been the Silverback Media Podcast.